Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Manny here once again. Welcome back to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NFL and the NBA. Got a brand new video for you guys today. We're going to discuss today's 9-game slate of the NBA. I got stud 5 and a value 5 for you guys. But before I get started, like always, guys, I appreciate you guys drop a like. And if you're new to the channel and you have not as of yet joined the community here at DFS Zone, please subscribe down below. Make sure you put on your post notification icon bell on. This way you don't miss out on any of my NFL or NBA lineup advice videos as well as live shows. I will be conducting live shows this week. Don't know exactly when, as far as an hour before lock for the NBA, but possibly in the next 2 days will be my first one, so that you'll get a notification on that if you become a subscriber. Other than that, that's basically it, man. We'll go right down to the slate here. We got 9 games today in the association, and I'm going to just jump right in it because I am really behind on time today. But point guard, as far as tonight, as far as point guard starts for me, I mean, Curry, Lillard, all in great spots. I don't like Wall in this spot here, but I'm going to go with Kemba Walker again. He's been on fire. I had him as a stud a couple of days ago. He did fairly well. I expected more from him. He didn't have the great massive game, but nonetheless, he was still pretty solid, and I expect him to have a solid game here again today. He's at 8,900 here on Fanduel, 7,900 on DK. On DK, you need about 39 to cover that, and over here, you need about 44 on Fanduel. But 35.3 points per game, 3 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 47.3 fantasy points per game. Pretty darn solid. And as you can see, it's had 2 50-point games already. His dud game has been only a 35, pretty much a 36 spot against Orlando. But nonetheless, I mean, the numbers have just been fantastic. We go over to him on the cruncher. And let me just clear this stuff here. And we go over to Kemba. And again, as you can see, let's look at his usage rate. It's been, we know his usage rate is going to be through the roof, and we want that as fantasy players. 37.9, pretty much a 38, 32, 38 here. Look at the shots, man. I mean, 31 shots from the floor the other day in Miami and 15 from 3. I mean, you're talking about usage rate. I mean, it's been just really ridiculous with him. But nonetheless, it's getting it done. They're getting wins. And they're doing fairly well. They're going up against Toronto, man. As we all know, Lowry is not a great defender. And thus far this year, he's given up 37.8 fantasy points per game, 2 point guards in 3 games. He gave up 49.8 to Mr. Wall, 36.8 to Mr. Irving, and 27 to George Hill. So even if he gives up 27 here, it would be really, really surprising. I doubt very much that Kemba will put up only 27, 28 points here, fantasy points. He has tremendous upside. We know he's capable of getting high 50s. As you already seen, that he already has 2 of those already thus far this year. So Kemba Walker, to me, is the stud player of the day as far as point guard. When we go over to point guard as far as a value, real quickly, I really, there's a couple guys that stand out to me, obviously, but I mean, and granted, today is a large slate, guys. There's a lot of options. I mean, I just feel that out of the top guys here, I think the best play possibly for today, as far as matchup and as far as who's playing well, is Kemba Walker. Wall's in a tough spot here. Damian Lillard is a pretty good defender. And then Lillard obviously is in a tough matchup as well. And then Curry, Curry is definitely in the best matchup. Unfortunately, I just feel that this game may get too out of hand, and then maybe that he's not going to put up the numbers we need. We need for 10 there, you need about 51, and for Damian Lillard, you need 50. Those are big, big numbers for them to get today. So that's why I'm going with Mr. Walker. As far as the value, man, there are a couple guys that stand out to me, but I am going to go with, surprisingly, Derrick Rose at 4,600. He's 4,600 here on DK, Fanduel, 4,400 on DK, so you pretty much need about 22, 23 to cover either one of the 2 sites. 16 points thus far per game this year, 4.3 rebounds, 5 assists. He's averaging 30.4 fantasy points per game. He's having an excellent year to start off, and he is being a part of this offense. You can tell just by the minutes, 30, 23, and 32. It's pretty much averaging about 28 minutes, you could figure more or less here, and his numbers just keep increasing. 14 in the first game, 28 fantasy points, pretty much a 29 spot in game 2, and then in the last game he played a massive game, 47 fantasy points. We go to the cruncher and we'll take a better look at him here. And Derrick Rose, and as you can see, the 28 and 47 both crushed value. He was only at 4,000 then. He's only $600 more right now, which is fine. His usage rate in the last game, 34 pretty much percent in 32 minutes. He put up 28 points from the floor. And look at the shots, 21 from the floor, 5 from 3. Got to the foul line as well. And then he's been doing he did a little bit of everything in the last game, which I'd really love to see from point guards, as I've told you guys in the past if you've been watching my videos. 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He did have 3 big turnovers, but he did make up for them with 2 steals and a block. Obviously, as fantasy point players, we want to see the blocks and the steals, especially from point guards when they're not shooting well. He shot pretty much 50% from the floor. His numbers look really, really good thus far this year as far as Derrick Rose is concerned. And he's going up against Indiana, who's giving up 30.4 fantasy points per game, so right in his wheelhouse. Thus far in 3 games this year, and they gave up recently 29.7 to D'Angelo Russell, and I think Derrick Rose has just as much skill set, or maybe even better, than D'Angelo Russell, and they gave up 41.7 to Mr. Bledsoe. So some huge numbers to a couple good players, and we got a player here that's been recovering from a major injury, 2 major knee injuries over his career, and we know how explosive he can be. I love Derrick Rose here in this matchup at home against Indiana for 4,600. We go to shooting guard. And at shooting guard, you know, obviously Jimmy Butler stands out at me, but we're not going to go with Jimmy Butler here in this matchup. 55 is, 9,600. I mean, I think he's going to get it. I am going all the way down, just paying down and go all the way to DeMar DeRozan at 8,200 against the Lakers. You can't pass up that matchup with high implied totals, a really high-paced game, and DeRozan loves those kind of games. 8,200, that's a good price, man. You only need 41 from him, and he's averaging 42. And pretty much on DK, he's 74. You only need 34 there. So those numbers look really, really nice and intriguing to me. I'm going to definitely have exposure to him. In the 2 games, like you see, 36 pretty much on average points. He's averaging 28 points from the floor, 3 rebounds, 9 assists. We know he's capable of getting a double-double. The 49 and 35 in those 2 games. We come to the cruncher, and I come down to DeRozan. And so far, 49, 37, 34 and 38. Look at the usage rate, 30% or better, 31% here, pretty much 33.5 here, and then he's taking the shots. He's getting the shots. 22 from the floor, 1 from 3, 21 here, and 3 from 3. He's getting to the foul line, and he does a little bit of everything. That's what makes him pretty good. Steals, 2 steals, 9 assists, 3 rebounds. Over here, he had 4. The floor points have been pretty much the same. He's not a big foul. He's not a guy that commits a lot of fouls, so that's an area that we definitely would love to see, is not to have somebody getting into foul trouble all the time. Then he's going up against the Lakers, man, on a paced-up game. The Lakers have been giving up the shooting guards 38.6 fantasy points per game thus far this year in 3 games, and they have given up. Obviously, they faced a couple of good guys. C.J. McCollum put up 27 on them, and Mr. James Harden put up pretty much close to 55 if you count 54.9. So I still like DeRozan's chances here. I think he's in an excellent spot. I'm going to stay in the same game and get value, and I'm going to go down to Mr. Josh Hart. It seems like the Lakers are utilizing this kid a lot, and then obviously with the 2 guys out, Ingram, that's going to benefit Kuzma, is going to benefit Mr. Hart getting some more minutes, and at the same time it's going to help out Mr. Ball with Rondo out. But 30 and 27, pretty much 28.5 minutes per game. They're utilizing him. He is a part of this rotation and a part of the offense as well. 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 2 steals, 27 fantasy points in the last game. He's averaging 15.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 33.2 fantasy points at 5,800. You pretty much need 28. And on DK's 51, you need about 25. And as you can see, he has smashed that in both games already. So he's priced just right. We go over to the cruncher and look at him a little bit further. And if I can find him. Josh Hart. Where are you? There you go. Josh Hart. And as you can see, solid usage rate over 20%, which I truly love. I always say 21 to 22 or better would be awesome. He's getting the shots a little off here, man. He didn't shoot well from the floor. 5 of 13, 1 of 5 from 3, 8 of 12 here, 3 and 5. But the floor points are there, and then he does a little bit of everything. He reminds me of a Jimmy Butler and a Kawhi Leonard that is capable of scoring, but also defends well. 1 block, 2 blocks in 2 games, 3 blocks total, and 5 steals in 2 games. It's fantastic. I definitely love it. San Antonio has allowed 38.6 fantasy points per game thus far this year in 2 games. 27 to McCollum. Gave up 49 to 50 pretty much to Mr. Butler. And But again, like I said, this kid he's getting the time, he's a part of the rotation. He's like a smaller version of Jimmy Butler to me. You know, he's capable of doing everything, especially the defensive side. Small forward, let's just jump right in here because I'm pressed for time. Small forward, I'm going to go all the way down, man. Obviously, Giannis is in a good spot against New York. New York has been pretty tough with a couple of players. LeBron James in a good spot against San Antonio, but I'm sure he's going to be defended maybe from Mr. Aldridge or maybe even Mr. DeRozan. Durant, Kawhi Leonard in a good spot here also as well. I was thinking of him, but I'm looking at getting the pricing, and you know what? I'm going to go all the way down to Tyreke Evans at 6,500 as my stud at small forward today. Good spot against Minnesota. Has a little bit of success there as well. 13 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, averaging 29.5 fantasy points per game. He's been on the up and up, as you can see here. I would love to see the minutes go up. I think slowly but surely they will give him more minutes. 21 to 23 minutes over the course of the 3 games. 33, 28, and 26. And we go over to the Fanduel here. To the Cruncher. And let's look for Tyreke Evans. And as you can see, against Minnesota, he hit a 44 spot last time out against them. That was back on December 4th of last year before he got injured. 26.4 usage rate. It's really sky high. 33 minutes, 6 of 14. I just love the numbers, and he does a little bit of everything. He's another guy that plays a little bit of defense, is willing to get dirty. He's finally healthy. I'm hoping that he's maybe adapted already now with Indiana. But I love the matchup, man. Going up against Utah is tough, no doubt about it. 30 fantasy points per game thus far this year, but they did give a 28 to Rudy Gay and 37 to Osman of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I think Tyreke Evans, with his skill set, he is definitely having an opportunity here to do well in this matchup. I can see him getting 35 to 40 fantasy points easy. We know he has 50-point upside. So I like Tyreke Evans here as the stud at small forward. Other than, I'm going to have some exposure to Paulie Durant. He's in a good matchup, even Kawhi. But I just want to give you guys, the viewers, some other opportunities. We know that some of these guys have the potential to do very well. So after Tyreke Evans, my next guy that I really like is Jabari Parker. He's in a good matchup here as well against Dallas. He is here at 14 points, 5.5 rebounds, 1 assist, 22.6 fantasy points per game. At 5,500, you pretty much need 27. And on DK, he's 4,800. You need 23, 24 there to meet value. I love to see the minutes go up. I think that's going to obviously go up within time. 23, 25 minutes per game. He's been pretty solid. 13, 6, and 1, 15, 5, and 1. As you can see, he's averaging 22.6 fantasy points per game. And we come over here to the Cruncher and Jabari Parker. Those 2 games that he played, 24 and 25 minutes, look at the usage rate. When he's on there, he's being efficient. He's been getting his touches on the ball. As you can see, 13 opportunities. He had 5 of 13, 2 of 3 from 3. He's been getting to the foul line. Of course, he's going to get some rebounds. And then he did the same here in the prior game, 7 of 16 and 1 of 4. So 20 total shots, 16 from the floor and 4 from 3. That's what we want to see. We want to see usage. We want to see shots. We want to see minutes. Those minutes, like I said, they're going to climb up a little bit more. History against Dallas, only had a 23 spot against them back in 2016-17. I'm not basing this on that. I'm basing it on the matchup. If you go over here and you go to Jabari Parker in the Chicago game, Harrison Barnes is out with a hamstring. So Mr. Finney-Smith has been playing. He's been guarding the guys, and like I said, he has allowed, as a matter of fact, I have that 34.8 fantasy points per game Dallas, given up in 2 games against small forwards, and Ariza scored 44 against Mr. Finney-Smith. I mean, who's the notable guy that stands out. So there is opportunity here for Jabari Parker. Hopefully they'll just hammer it into him. At power forward, man. I love Aldridge in his matchup against LA, but I think he's going to be defended a little bit by LeBron. LeBron has been playing the 4 quite a bit for the Lakers since joining the Lakers. But Mr. Ingram out. I still see that maybe LeBron is going to be on him a little bit. LeBron is a pretty decent defender. It's a tough matchup for Aldridge, especially if LeBron is going to guard him. Aaron Gordon is in a good spot here as well, but Jason Tatum is a pretty good defender for Boston, so I'm a little worried there. Tatum hasn't faced Aaron Gordon thus far this year, but But nonetheless, I think the best matchup comes down to over here to Draymond Green at 8,100 against Phoenix in a paced-up game, type of game that Draymond obviously loves because he loves the transition game. Only averaging 6.7, not having a great year thus far. 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 27.3 fantasy points per game. But I think he's a guy that you could definitely take here in the GPP. Has a lot of upside. You know he has double-double potential almost any given night. He has triple-double potential almost every given night. And he's only 8,100 with that upside of 50+. You figure you need 40, 41 here. And on DK, he's 6,900 on DK, under $7,000. So you only need about 33, 34 there to cover that. And I'm sure he can get it. He did get 37 in game 2 of this year. He did have a dud game against Denver. But I'm not concerned there, man. I like the matchup. And let's go over here and let's look at him a little further. Draymond Green. And as you can see, still the 33 minutes consistent. Did get usage here very well, 23%, 6 of 12, 1 of 3. Numbers are not pretty, but as you can see, nonetheless, he does do a little bit of everything. He rebounds, he passes the ball, he does commit turnovers, but usually he's pretty good with steals and blocks, and he didn't do that well in the last game. And actually in the last game, he had 5 fouls. Maybe that's one of the contributing factors on why he didn't play as well or wasn't too much involved in the offense. But if he could stay out of foul trouble, I think he'll be all right. He's going to go up against Ryan Anderson, who's been playing the power forward spot for Phoenix, and Phoenix has been giving up only 29 fantasy points per game thus far, but they did give up 35 to Paul Millsap of the Denver Nuggets recently. So I like the chances here with a guy who got 50-point upside going up at a paced-up game, and then maybe only facing Ryan Anderson. I definitely will take my chances with Draymond Green here as a stud. I don't have really a good value play because I really love Kyle Kuzma, and I think that everybody should definitely be playing Kyle Kuzma tonight. I mean, he may end up being a little chalky. 6,500 is still, for his price right now with him, what he has been producing, 23 fantasy points per game, it is pretty high. But obviously that's all based to the factors that, Mr. Ingram is out and he's going to play, more than likely play more than 30, 35 minutes. He's only been averaging 25 to 28, averaging 13 points from the floor, 3.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 23 fantasy points per game, and he's been averaging pretty much 23, 24. 6,500, you need about 32, 33, to meet value. He has the potential to get you that. On DK, he's 5,500 on DK, so he's a better price than DK with the potential of getting you 27, which is very close to what he's averaging already. Kind of like that a little bit more. So definitely on DK, he's someone you should consider. Going up again, I could guess San Antonio. Actually, as a matter of fact, I didn't go to him on the cruncher here. Sorry about that. Kyle Kuzma. And, the usage rate is good. When he's on the floor, he's getting touches. I mean, granted, he's only put up 23 and 23, and that's all due to the fact that he hasn't shot well from the floor. 5 of 13 and 1 of 5. He got a total of 18 shots total between threes and on the floor, and he only hit 6 of them. The prior game before that, 5 of 15 and 1 of 7 from 3. I mean, so very poor in those aspects, man. If he can get that done and he can nail down those shots and get hit those field goals at a better, consistent, higher rate, he's going to put up more fantasy points for us. But from the floor, still 11 and 15, those numbers would definitely improve, especially if he can nail down those field goals. So again, it's just today is more of the factors that he's going to get more minutes. He's going to be on the floor, and he can be explosive. He can get you close to 50. He has 45. He has easily 40, 45 point upside. And then last year, he put up 29 plus against this team, which I forgot to show you. We go up and we show you against San Antonio. Look at the numbers. Been good with San Antonio. The usage rate was pretty good the last 2 games. Did take massive shots. Different team last year. This year they got LeBron. Obviously, he's not going to get that many massive minutes, but with Ingram out, you're going to expect him to get 30 to 35 minutes. He has the potential to do that. So historically, he's done well against San Antonio. San Antonio, like I said, 19.4, pretty much close to 20 points given up per game this year, but they haven't really faced any strong power forwards. They have only faced Todd Gibson, and Aminu. That is it, and that's one of the reasons why there's only been 19.4. So I'm not at all concerned whatsoever with Kyle Kuzma there against Phoenix. Against the San Antonio Spurs. All right, let's go over to center. At center, I'm going to stick to my boy, my New York Knick. I'm going to stick with Enes Kanter until somebody stops him. I'm going to still go with him. The guy is just, he's a workhorse, man. He's just a scrappy guy. These are the kind of guys you want on a team. Crazy energy. very explosive. What I like, not only the energy, he just gives a lot of good effort. He's always bringing it as hard as he can every single night, and you can't ask for anything more. 20.7, he's averaging close to 21 points a game and 12 rebounds, a double-double every single game thus far this year. 2.3 assists, 42.2 fantasy points per game at 7,500. You need pretty much 37, 38. He's been at 7,500, I think, all 3 games, or at least the last 2 games. So this will be the 3rd game in a row. And on DK, 7,300, pretty much priced the same. You need about 36 to cover that. And as you can see here, numbers have been great. 41 plus in the last 2 games. I mean, a double-double, 31 minutes, 17, 15, and 2, 29, 10, and 2. We come over here to the cruncher, and, you know, he's been solid, man. It's just the usage has been good, 24 and 25%. The minutes are there. He's taking shots, 18 here, got 12 of 18. Oh, he had 8 of 15. The rebounds are going to be there, 15 and 10. Man, and he has a tendency of coming up with some steals and an occasional block here and there. You cannot go wrong with Mr. Cantor, as long as he stays out of foul trouble. Do not get into foul trouble, and you'll be all right. Going up against Milwaukee, who's only allowed 14 fantasy points per game thus far to centers this year, but they only have faced Mr. Turner and Mr. Cody Zeller, so not anybody in the same, you know, planet right now as far as how well Inez Cantor has been playing. So the longest you got Cantor going up against a team like this that don't really have a true good center. I'm going to take Inez Cantor in this matchup. He's the one who's going to have to do well here to keep this game fairly close. Value, man, I really didn't like any of the centers for value. But when it came down to the last moment, it was either going to be Cody Zeller or Damian Jones, and I went with Zeller at 4,800. And 4,800, you pretty much need 24 from Zeller. He's 4,300 on DK, so you need about the same, about 22, I would say, more or less. His numbers have been okay, you know. 8 points, 6.3 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 20 fantasy points per game. You cannot go wrong. And like I say, you only need 23, 24 to pretty much cover this price, and he's been at that range. So he's priced just right. If he can get a few more minutes and just get a few more rebounds in that time, which he has a shot here against New York, against who's he playing against? Charlotte's going to go against Toronto. He may have a fairly good game here. Okay. Look at the minutes, 24 minutes in the last game, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 24 points. I mean, you go to the cruncher here. You're not going to see a whole lot from Cody Zeller, even going back. But again, the usage rate, you know, he's not one of the studs on the team. So 15 and 16 usage rate, not too bad. He's getting 7 to 8 opportunities a game. He's getting to the foul line, and he's getting the rebounds. He's doing what he needs to do. He's even getting a couple steals per game as well. Stay out of foul trouble, get a couple more rebounds for us, maybe get an additional block or a steal here, and he'll get us the value and then some. And that's all we want here, is to make sure we meet value. I think he's definitely a decent cash play also for you guys, because he's been consistent. So Cody Zeller is my last guy, man. That's pretty much where I'm at. Toronto's given up 25 fantasy points per game this year, and their biggest game they've given up was to Al Horford. Obviously, Horford is a better player than Zeller, but nonetheless, I think at 4,800 and you're only needing 23, 24, Cody Zeller is not bad. Again, there's some notable worthy mentions. Bamba as well as Jones could be possible plays, and you know, I just didn't want to go that route. I want to go with a steady guy here for value, and I think Damian Jones or Cody Zeller will be probably the best choices. And that's pretty much where I'm at, guys, man. I hope you liked the video. Drop a like, and if you're new to the channel, like I said, please subscribe down below so that you can continue to get your NBA lineup advice videos as well as live shows. And, of course, if you're into NFL DFS, I do the same. The NFL quarterback, running back videos will be out tomorrow sometime for this week, week 8 of the NFL. And, of course, live show for the NBA will be coming up in the next couple of days. That will be posted as well. Other than that, man, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next